Let me ask you a question. Do you as a woman feel like you're not beautiful if you don't shave your armpits or your legs? Do you sometimes feel like you would like it to be that way? For you to have a choice? Why isn't it socially acceptable that women would have hair, even though it naturally grows on their bodies? Let me tell you, I haven't been shaving my armpits for the last 4 years. Even more, I think. 6 years. And the thing is, I enjoy it more. I don't know how to explain it. I think it's natural. I personally think most of the time that it looks better. There are moments where I do shave it, very occasionally, like 3 times a year, just because I prefer it in that moment. I feel like I want that smooth shaven look. But I won't lie to you. There are moments where, with my hairy pits, I'm wearing a fancy dress and I feel like I can't lift my arms, like as if I should be ashamed, as if it doesn't go with my elegant dress, and as though I'm not beautiful, I'm not classy. I feel like I look uncivilized, like I'm not taking care of myself, or like I'm dirty. So why do women shave? How did it start? Has it always been for the same reasons? Well, it seems the Egyptians were at the source of it. Copper razors have even been found dating back from 3000 BC. Cavemen as well as ancient Greeks shaved their head and their face, but not for vanity reasons, rather for battle. That way they weren't as vulnerable, they couldn't be pulled from their beard or their head. It was also said that those with less hair had less mites, so hygienic reasons. Women in the Western world have only been removing their body hair for the last century or so. But well before that, Middle Easterners, Egyptians, and Greeks thought that hair removal was very important. Actually, having pubic hair was considered uncivilized. It was even considered uncivilized for men to keep their facial hair because it sort of insinuated that you were poor, perhaps a servant or a slave. So having a shaven face was associated with power and cleanliness. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys out there? Anyway, the Roman Empire after that kept associating smooth, hairless skin with prestige and wealth by showcasing sculptures and paintings of women completely hairless, including in the pubic area. And that, of course, influenced women a great deal. Having the tools to shave your body hair was, in society's mind back then, directly correlated with being rich and civilized. For the rest of the Europeans, it wasn't until Queen Elizabeth I came along in the Middle Ages that hair removal finally reached them. Not for the body though, for the face. In paintings of Queen Elizabeth I, she was depicted without upper lip hair and without eyebrows, and even with a higher forehead, achieved by simply shaving the higher part of your forehead, because a higher forehead line was considered really beautiful back then. And it is assumed that for a couple of centuries after that, no one told women what to do with their body hair, so women got sort of a break after the Middle Ages. And then from 1760 until 1915, a few variations of the razor and of depilatory cream were created by different people, especially in Europe. The historical moment that you need to remember is 1915, in May specifically. Gillette came out with a razor specifically marketed for women, which was a first. It was called Milady Décolleté, and shortly after, an ad in Harper's Bazaar, a women's fashion magazine, showed a woman wearing a sleeveless dress with her arms raised and perfectly shaven underarms. That was just a little over 100 years ago. Shortly after, Wilkinson Sword, a shaving company from the UK, made ads stating that underarm hair, and probably pubic hair too, was unhygienic and unfeminine. From that point on, razor sales doubled in less than 2 years. Since sleeveless dresses were just starting to be socially acceptable, shaving underarms were a new necessity, and women were told to clean up their objectionable body hair. Leg shaving came a little bit later during a nylon or pantyhose shortage during the wartime. And since women had to go bare-legged more often, they felt forced to shave their legs all the time. We could even say that the less clothes women were wearing, the more hair they had to shave. They had to go higher and higher and higher and higher. Now, this is one of my favorite part of this video, the science behind it. Why is it even considered more feminine? Why is it considered cleaner and wealthier and just more beautiful? Why? I'm not saying that those who wish to shave their legs and armpits shouldn't be considered beautiful. I'm saying that whatever the hell you want to do, you should be considered beautiful. Especially if it's something that's naturally on your body, right? Psychologically, visible body hair on women is said to challenge traditional gender roles. Apparently, it is seen as masculine in many cultures to have body hair, even though this hair naturally grows on women. In 1626, there was an account that having a lot of hair was associated with filth and vermin. However, that didn't even apply to men for some funny reason. Hairy women were even seen as having a humoral imbalance. In the old style of medicine with the humoral system, women were supposed to be wet and cold, and men were supposed to be hot and dry. Heat and dryness is supposedly the source of having body hair. People would believe that having dark hair indicates heat and dryness, which is associated with masculinity, while the complete opposite, women with pale blonde hair who would, on top of that, shave or wax off their hair, is considered as the ultimate femininity. Society in those years would say that women with a lot of dark body hair is still intelligent, but disagreeable, argumentative, has a deep voice, is muscular, ugly, and has frequent fertility problems. So to conclude, hairy women didn't make good wives. Therefore, removing their excess body hair could have been a symbol of them connecting with their female body and eliminating any excess masculinity. How about today, in 2017? We do see some people with hairy armpits, right? Hairy legs, everything. Girls with mustaches, right? Well, with the media, television, Hollywood, and of course we can't deny it, the pornography industry, body hair trends are always changing. First, in the 70s, the all-natural look was really popular, hence the expression 70s bush. In the 80s, 3 or 6 Brazilian sisters, I don't remember, came to the US and opened a beauty salon where they offered the Brazilian wax, which consisted of removing all of your pubic hair. And then Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City even got a Brazilian wax at a certain point, which made it blow up even more. And now in the 2010s, we have a sort of imperfect equilibrium where many women, including celebrities and models, proudly show off their body hair. Cameron Diaz, Miley Cyrus, Gwyneth Paltrow, and models from the company American Apparel are some examples. Society has always had a narrow notion of attractiveness and beauty. Our outer beauty has almost become a sort of cultural currency that you have to use to get by. But because the definition of beauty changes so much all the time, let us not get caught up in what society tells us we should look like and just decide for ourselves, shall we?